Well, hello and good morning, ladies. Welcome to Women of Wisdom, Weekly Wednesday. Now, today I have decided to continue with the theme of speech and prayer. And so today I've entitled this video, Women and Power of Silence. You know the old saying, silence is golden. We've heard our mothers say that to us, and we've all been at the recipient of our mother or father's glare when it's saying, silence is golden sort of thing. You get that, and oops, keep my lips shut tight. So we've all experienced it, I'm sure, unless you're a very, very pious woman. But I think we've all been guilty, or not guilty, but we've all done that to our children as well. We've gone, you've said too much, and prompt them not, zip it. So we're familiar with when speech is kind of running rampant. And so there's a time to speak and a time to be silent. It's about guarding the tongue. And today I am taking information from this beautiful book that I refer to quite frequently just for personal reading, and it's called The Wisdom of Women. Beautiful book. Look, I'm not sure where it's available overseas, but I know it's available in Australia, and I'm sure if you went on some of those book sites you would find it. Try Amazon. It could be on Amazon, but I'm not sure. But it's a lovely book. It's a soft-covered book. Now, this book is Women's Wisdom by Rabbi Shalom Arush, A-R-U-S-H, and it's translated by Rabbi Lazer Brody, who a lot of you would be very familiar with. He's on Facebook and YouTube. He does some wonderful little short things, little wisdom cups, I call them, a cup of wisdom. So you're probably very familiar with Rabbi Lazer Brody, a delightful speaker, wonderful man. So I want to give credit where credit's due, and I'm going to refer to page 293 in this book. And it's all about the power of silence, chapter 32. And I just want to read a paragraph from it because it puts it in beautiful words. It says, if we're not praying or speaking the words of Torah and Emunah, or using our power of speech for the benefit of our loved ones, and for the good of society, it would be prudent to be silent. Can you hear the beautiful big old frog? I wonder if that's a message. Beautiful, beautiful old frog. He's somewhere in our guttering just above where my window is. So I'll read it again. If we're not praying, speaking words of Torah and Emunah, or using our power of speech for the benefit of our loved ones and for the good of society, it would be prudent to be silent. So I think that's beautiful, isn't it? Now, some people are not 100% aware of the meaning of the Hebrew word Emunah, E-M-U-N-A. So, and I did have a delightful email in the last few days asking for Noahide definition and understanding of some words, and included in that was the word Emunah, something that we can actually grasp and understand as a Noahide. And, is it relevant to us? Well, this that I'm talking about certainly is. So here's a definition of Emunah, and it is actually, I've taken it from the same book on page 409 in the glossary. Emunah, the Hebrew, the firm belief in a single, supreme, omnipotent, benevolent, spiritual, supernatural, and all-powerful creator of the universe, who we refer to as God. So, that's Emunah. You could sing it. There was a song, can't remember what it was called once, but it was That's Something. So we could say, that's Emunah. I think it was, the song was That's Amore, meaning love, I think, in French. I could be wrong. Correct me if anyone knows the correct word for that. But Emunah. So that's what Emunah is. All right. Now, lost my page here somewhere. So, I'm getting back to where we're at now. So I will leave a link in the description box below with the name of this book. I will try to find out where you can locate it, but I would try on Amazon first. It may be there. It could be there. So this chapter in this book is about the power of silence. When is silence golden, as we've heard before? When is silence the best response? And so let's continue on with bearing in mind the definition of Emunah. So speech elevates humans above animals, which we would all pretty much understand at this point in time, although some of us do think our animals, our pets, can talk to us. A woman's words reflect her Emunah. A woman's words affect her Emunah. Our words as a woman directly affect our spirituality. And as we progress further, you'll get a broader understanding, an easier understanding of that. We can speak words of faith, or we can actually speak heresy. It's how we choose our words and the conversations we allow ourselves to enter into. Good and bad, life and death can hinge on actually what comes out of our mouth. I know, it's a sobering thought, isn't it? You know, it's a cringe-worthy thought. You know, when I look back on my day, have I done anything I'm cringing about? Said anything? Let's concentrate on what's coming out of the mouth. Has anything I've said have cause to make me cringe? And if so, what do I do about it? So let's move on. We can speak words of faith, or we can speak words of heresy, it says. And we must make an effort to modify or refine our speech, our words, and to always speak the truth. To the best of our knowledge, we speak the truth. If we're aware of what the truth is about a topic, then that's what we need to speak about. The truth of it. The truth of the matter. The truth of the topic. Uplifting our speech and the words that we use, that comes through that process and practice of regular meditation and prayer, because when we allow ourselves to be in that mode of meditative prayer and conversation with Hashem, it will amaze you how the words come to you that are appropriate. And the more you do it, the easier it is. So my understanding and my experience, this is just personally my experience I'm speaking from, the more time or occasions I spend in meditative prayer and conversation with Hashem, I begin to notice that my words become more appropriate, more specific, more suited to the subject matter that I'm discussing with Hashem. It just seems to flow. And so I get great inspiration from that. I like to spend time, for instance, before I do a video, just before I actually record a video, I like to go and spend quiet time in my quiet private space. And although I've already made some notes and know the subject I'm going to talk about, blah, 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 I still want to go through it in my mind with Hashem and get advice. And you know what? Sometimes I come back to the notes and I don't need to change anything. And other times I come back and I think, change that word. And so I speak from experience when I say that private conversation with our loving Father is so beneficial and important. It is essential for the lifeblood of our day. The more you do it, the more you want to do it, and the more benefit you gain from it. So, each day we should evaluate the words that we have actually spoken. Now, you know, there's times when that's near to impossible because you may have a job outside the house, the home, and, you know, how do I do a quick, you know, flick back through? But you know what I'm talking about, I'm sure. You know, if you were standing in front of students giving a talk, you're obviously containing your speech and your words to the topic at hand. If you are addressing someone on a particular topic in private, you would contain your speech to the words, etc., that are appropriate to that topic because you're concentrating on that. But what about when you're just randomly having a conversation or randomly discussing something, or asked for an opinion, for instance? It is sometimes easy for us to blah, 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 and get right off the track. And you come away and you think, did I say anything I shouldn't have? Could I have used better words? So by this meditative process of prayer with Hashem, it just seems to have automatically put a little bit of a brake on the lips and the tongue. And, you know, sometimes people are afraid to take a pause during what they're speaking. They feel they've got to go, you know, not make a break in speech lest people lose track. Well, I disagree. From years of standing in front of people, etc., for lectures associated with nursing, etc., talking to patients, sometimes I find that little momentary pause is beneficial for both the person listening to you and you as the speaker, because it lets you regroup. You can take note whether the person is taking in what you've said. Do they look puzzled? Maybe you need to rephrase it, go over it. So never be afraid to pause and take a breath, lean back and think, now, just level the tongue out. Am I on track? Are my words speaking clearly and not misleading, you know, getting people confused? So that's a really good piece of advice personally I give you. And it's especially true when you're into something really exciting, and so you're talking fast and you're that excited, and then you think, did I miss did I give the punchline or not? And you think, oh, you know, it's quiet the tongue and the lips a little bit. Okay. At the end of the day, we have to think back, you know, was my mouth in overdrive, just how I've explained it, you know, that the mouth is in top gear, you know, it's just rolling, it's on a roll. So do we need to look back each day over our speech? Certainly if we're a bit I'm not sure if I confused people today. Or did I say something I shouldn't have? Was I truthful, or did I perhaps mislead people unintentionally or intentionally? Did I allow an element of gossip or slander to come into my conversation? An innuendo. You know, we've all heard that, you know, oh, well, so-and-so down the road, she told me this story about so-and-so, but of course, you know, we can't always be sure. You know, even, be truthful, we've all been in that situation, myself included, and then once those words are out of the lips, as I said before, you can't gather them up and put them back in your mouth and seal them up. They're out there forever. So the way to negate that is to really acknowledge what you've done, and just quickly you have to talk to Hashem and say, oh, I you know, I should have kept a lock on my mouth, you know, I should have guarded my tongue. Maybe I shouldn't have phrased that expression like that. Was I being a little bit over the top or forceful, or was I being just sarcastic, or, you know? And we've all been tempted. Let's be honest. This can happen to us all. It's no good saying, oh, no, it never would escape my lips. Famous last words. So when you're in doubt, you need to go back over and think, what did I say today? And did I, if you're in doubt at all, it is always good to say, talk to Hashem about it. You know, I've learned through experience, at the end of the day, I never trust my memory. Did I have a slip of the tongue and used an inappropriate word or expression or example that may have offended someone? So I always cover my tracks, because I know, you know, talk. So I never trust my memory about that. I just say, Hashem, if anything came out of my mouth that shouldn't have, or I wasn't thinking straight about, or I may have offended anyone with my words, or insulted them, or misled them, you know, I spend a deal of time each day, at the end of the day, at night, sort of going over that in my mind. Should I have said that better or something? And it's amazing, the more you do that, the more you think about it the next day, and it kind of puts a little brake on you. And that doesn't mean we won't make the same mistake again, but what it means is we're becoming more conscious of it. That you know, that old saying, I think you've probably heard me say it before, but it's better to remain silent and appear ignorant than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. Not my original that. That was something my mother used to tell me frequently. As a child, I learnt that very early in life. So the power of our speech, it can be extraordinary if it's used wisely and truthfully. There is no doubt about that. You've all probably read or heard speeches people have given, and you've thought, oh, wow, it's just opened a whole panorama for you. And we've all been affected by something someone has said to us, or some speech we've read or something. And it's kind of something you even refer back to in your mind unconsciously at times. It leaves an indelible mark on you. And so, but it's also easy, by the same token, we can all be like that. Give a powerful, impart some powerful words of wisdom. We all have our moment to shine. Sometimes people that you least expect will just say something and you think, oh, that's it, I've got it. But the important thing is we shouldn't rest on our laurels, because it is also just as easy to become preoccupied with the I and the me through our words. Now, I'll try and give you an example. I'm happy to tell everyone about my mistakes, and I've had plenty of them. And you'll have other people, come across other people who say, look, don't do what I did, or I learned from my mistake, or something like that. That's fine. Never be afraid to pass on your bloopers and say, you know what, I learned a lesson there. I'm not going to say that or do that again. Rather than say, well, of course, I would never do this. I would never say that. Anyone who says this or does that is, don't fall into that trap, because when you least expect it, let me tell you, Hashem has a good sense of humour. When you think you're not going to put your foot in your mouth, that's exactly, when you get cocky and start overemphasising your exactness or your preciseness, that's when, you'll make a slip up. So just be aware. So let's talk about the power of silence, because that's what we really want to train ourselves and appreciate ourselves to value. So the power of silence is a valuable time, not only for us to think and to reflect and consider what we've said previously, or consider what we're going to speak about or explain. And also, it's a time to remain silent. It teaches us there are times when we don't have to say or do anything. I, over the years, have learnt, and I often tell people this, that, not every question requires an answer. Not every comment requires a response or warrants a response. There are some questions or comments people make that it is best just to have a no registration look on your face, as though you haven't heard it, There's no need to. People sometimes think they have to come back with an answer or a proposition or a solution or something. And sometimes this, as I said, always maintain, not every question needs an answer, and not every comment requires you to respond. Know when to say nothing. Never be afraid. If you remain silent, some people say, silence is complicity. Not necessarily. It depends on the situation. Silence can also mean condemnation, or it can mean I'm not registering. I'm not going to respond. I'm not going to enter into this dialogue, etc. I'm sure you all can think of examples that you've experienced. The main thing to remember is that Hashem is always in charge. So there's nothing that we say, think, do, or have happened to us that Hashem doesn't know about. Now, some of it's orchestrated by Hashem for us to learn. So all experiences, words, and conversations will have a purpose. There is a purpose, but it's how we behave during that we need to worry about, not what the other person's doing. Now, prayer is always the preference before speech. Hashem, put a zipper on my mouth until it's required to be opened. My mother used to say, she'd say, Christina, there is many a slip twixt the cup and your lip. And I used to think years ago when I was a kid, I don't spill my cup of tea. It took me a little while to understand what the actual meaning was, but I can still, my mother of blessed memory, I can still hear you saying that to me. Yes. Oh, yes. Now, when women refrain from that idle chit-chat, they actually become closer to Hashem. When we say silent time, your mind naturally drifts to the matters of our loving Father. of our one and only true God. So the less our lips are moving, the more our whole person is aware of Hashem, aware of what's around us. The less we speak, the more we absorb, I beg your pardon. So when women refrain from that idle chit-chat, they become definitely closer to Hashem, closer to the purpose Hashem has for us, whatever that may be. And that's unique to each individual woman. I find we have time to pray and ask for the things that we really need and the things that really matter, like my performance, my attitude, my speech, my comments, my emunah, my tzedakah, am I being charitable to others, you know? Tzedakah is being kind about people. You know, you can have a discussion about a topic. Is it right or is it not? Is it teaching meaningful for me or is it not meaningful for me? We can still do that. I'm not saying you have to go along with the crowd with everything. That's not what I'm implying. I'm implying you have to use mental acuity, your sixth sense, as they call it, that, you know, be attuned to that, because they're things that God gives us to put brakes on. You know, you've all had a feeling, you know, I don't like where this conversation's going, or, oh, I've had enough, I'm leaving this, you know. Where do you think that thought comes from? So you've got instincts, God-given instincts, and you need to use them at times. So the less we allow ourselves to be caught in idle chit-chat of no consequence, lessen that and spend time speaking in quality communication, or not speaking at all. So all things we know are achievable through Hashem's assistance, and certainly through our prayer to Him. Whatever Hashem wants or decrees, it's going to happen. Make no mistake about that. And the takeaway message here is, I think, for us all, including myself, is that we have to learn the art of silence. It's an art. And may it work in your favour. That art of silence is something that we need to value. It's a very powerful, helpful tool. And it's greatly underestimated at times. So, to sum this video up, I would say, learn to perfect the art of refined and appropriate times of silence, and enjoy the rewards that you reap from that. It's very helpful for you to have times of silence. If there's a group talking, you don't have to join in. You can just nod. Sometimes just a nod or a raise of an eyebrow. People don't know whether you're agreeing or disagreeing. You can just... It doesn't mean because you're sitting there in the group that you're going to allow all that negative stuff to filter through. You can ride the waves. You can just... Doesn't mean, you know, and you can be thinking all the time, please God, oh, please Hashem, I want to get out of this group quickly. I want to leave. Have I been here long enough? Can I excuse myself? And you find ways around it. Hashem helps you. And like I said, Hashem's also got a good sense of humour. So ladies, thank you so much for joining me this morning for another Wednesday weekly for women of wisdom. Always be proud of who you are. Always feel entitled to your silence. And there is truth in that word also. Silence is golden. Let it be that way for you as well. Please take care, my dears, and God bless.